You started off from a philosophical background, actually critiquing positive psychology. So could you tell us a bit about that and how you then made the journey into actually teaching on a positive psychology program?
Well, I was brought to teach positive psychology, master's degree in positive psychology, in order to criticize, actually not necessarily to criticize, but to develop some sort of critical outlook of students, our master students in positive psychology. And this is very important. You can imagine the subject like well-being, happiness, things like that can invoke a lot of cynicism, and it could be a little bit flaky and so on. So in a way, my job is to cure them from any sort of new age associating positive psychology, studying positive psychology with some sort of new age stuff or something like that. It's very different. We need to very clearly demarcate the boundaries of positive psychology if we want it to be credible.
Positive psychology has been in the news a lot, and so probably most of our audience actually know quite a bit about it. But could you just describe what your approach to positive psychology at the University of East London?
In a nutshell, positive psychology is a relatively new discipline that started about just over 10 years ago. A few American psychologists, Csikszentmihalyi and Seligman and a few more, got together and decided that actually psychology at that time was focusing a lot on what's wrong with us. Yeah. And that's quite normal. You can imagine that actually what people are interested is in being helped when something goes wrong. So depression, anxiety, phobias, and so on and so on. So not surprisingly, a lot of psychologists worked on these areas. But nevertheless, it's obviously we are interested not only how to repair what's wrong with us, but how we can grow and develop in terms of utilizing what's actually, or maximizing what is really good with us.
Yes.
So Seligman decided, and his colleagues decided, okay, let's start something that would actually explore and research these areas that are actually, if you like, what is the best in humankind. Things like wisdom, for example, or flow, or your strengths rather than your weaknesses, and positive relationships, and so on and so on. However, the term positive psychology, in fact, is not something that they invented. The term appeared in the early 70s in one of the books of famous psychologists at that time, Maslow. You may have heard of Maslow from that sort of pyramid of needs and so on. And he had a chapter called Positive Psychology in one of his latest books, proposing something very similar. But unfortunately, for various reasons, Seligman and company decided to disassociate themselves from humanistic psychology and wouldn't acknowledge the roots, that the positive psychology has roots as a humanistic psychology. It's changing now.
Is that because, I mean, obviously positive psychology has set itself up as an evidence-based science, and are they saying humanistic psychology wasn't very evidence-based, wasn't very empirically based?
You're very much right about that, yeah. That's what's
fair?
Supposed to...
Is that a fair criticism?
No. It is something that they want to present something like that humanistic psychology is not evidence-based and positive psychology is. Now, however, I would say that actually the difference is not so great as it's often presented. I mean, the boundaries are quite blurred in this respect, and what actually constitutes proper research in psychology or evidence in psychology is very much something that we can, I guess, talk for an hour only about it.
Yeah.
And if you think about that nowadays, yes, because we have a lot of positive psychologists, qualified positive psychology, finishing master's degree in America and Europe, and including University of East London. So they're doing really proper research. But in fact, the first big things in positive psychology were not based necessarily on really good empirical research. Take strengths, for example. I mean, the categorization of strengths and so on, very arbitrary, something that few guys decided that that's how it should be.
And this is, you're talking about the VIA strengths
VIA,
survey
yeah,
and things
that's
like
right.
this? So
That's-
these are
yeah.
surveys or inventories of strengths and character virtues.
That's right.
And you can find it on what website is that? The
It's if you just go VIA and Google, it will
Yes,
come on the first
exactly.
page, and it's free.
Yeah.
It does take quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
It takes about 40 minutes to do, 45 minutes, but it's supposed to tell you what are your 3 top strengths.
strengths, exactly, which you can then build on, hopefully use in your work and your personal life. And
That's
things
the
like
idea.
that. Is that, and are you saying that's still not, is it a valid test or not?
Well, that's a very good question. I personally don't think it is. It's actually it's telling you more what strengths you would like to have.
Because I've done it, and you can answer any way you want, obviously.
Well, exactly.
And it's very obvious what
I
they're
mean,
trying to get
and
at.
this
isn't
is
it?
one of these quirks, like what is actually, what are the limits of psychology and psychological research on the first place if it depends on actually your answers. Because actually you don't need to want to lie to me, but you may unconsciously lie to yourself.
Yeah.
So you may admire certain strengths and you really want to have them, and you unconsciously completely you answer in such a way that they come up as your top strengths, but
Yeah.
they may not be.